Hey guys, Matt here from Six Stages Gaming bringing you another deck spotlight. This list is from the SoCal Championship circuit where Nathan Perez finished first. This deck features a heavy discard theme to prey on the slower decks that take a few additional turns to set up. Focusing on one element streamlines the deck and gives you a clear play from turn to turn. Zidane makes a splash here as the only non-ice card, but the multi-modes really let him shine in this list. That's a quick overview, and now let's talk about what makes up this deck. 6 cards in total make up the discard package, but 5 of them are forwards. Where Argath and Serah have similar roles in simply just making your opponent discard a card, the others have a little bit more use. Cid Raines is an interesting card. It's great for comboing with Squall or Moomba to help finish off a larger threat that you might have issue with, but it does take a little bit of magic to make it happen. Where Ice is kind of lacking in the direct card removal, Cid Raines is a welcomed addition. It also plays in the theme of making our opponent discard a card when you break something. So for a cost of 4, you could usually Moomba and Cid Raines something and remove one of their forwards. Moving on to the next card, Zidane is all about flexibility. Whether it's being a 1-drop 7,000 because you get to draw a card when you play him and help cycle through the deck, or play him for the discard effect, it can really help to clear the way for Leon as well. But there's going to be more about that in a minute. So many modes can make Zidane as good as he is. Lastly, to talk about the discard is Sephiroth. 5 crystal points is certainly a lot, and each player discarding 2 cards may not seem like the best, but often you're able to rip the last 2 cards out of your opponent's hand while you're discarding nothing because you've used your last cards to play him, and suddenly you have an 8,000 power on board with first strike, of course assuming that you have Duke as well. While the discard part of Ice can leave you a little bit power starved, there is still a few key hitters in the deck. Finally, Legend Squall shows up. He's still a very powerful card and can do a lot of work. At a 3-drop, he plays low to the ground, but his special ability allows him to trade up into the 4 or 5 drops your opponent might be playing. He's also amazing a card against some more aggressive decks that try to attack with forwards that are under 6,000 power. Rinoa as well is this can be high power threat, no doubt, but what really makes her threatening is the ability to dull all of your opponent's forwards on break, and that's what makes her truly legendary. She will clear the way for your forwards that spend the early turn focusing on discarding effects, where you might be left with a few 6,000 power or 3,000 power forwards that are just sitting around. For the last 3-drop, we have Leon. Yeah, that's Leon. It's a cheap cost of 9k that should have a huge drawback, but your opponent can't play anything if they don't have a hand. You'll often need to combo this card multiple discard effects in one turn, but it feels great when you get to pull it off. That's why it's only a 2 of, but sometimes just having that 3-drop 9k on a key turn can help push through for a couple more points of damage. Lastly, we have the utility cards and the backup plan. Vayne, it's simply a all-around solid card. The ability to lock down cards such as Legendary Tifa or Emperor Zan can win the game on its own. This is a great Devout target as well. Laguna and Squall finishing out these 4 drops or finishing out the forwards play an interesting role as well. Laguna, of course, is always great for the X burst effect and a possible 10k body with Squall and Duke, where Squall is really just here as a 4-drop version to pitch to the other or played in a pinch if you really need to. Having both of these on the field can help set up a board state of 2 10k powered forwards that are very difficult to deal with and are very welcomed as heavy hitters to this deck. So if you're in a pinch and you're looking for a little bit more power, Laguna and Squall can come down on the board and swing the tides in your favor. Moving on, let's talk about our summons, and both of these are EX births, no less. Moomba is a very interesting meta choice. When Moonwoo isn't around, this card has a lot more value. In combination with Cid Raines or Squall with his ability to deal 6,000 damage to something, it can really help remove problematic forwards. Again, it does take a little bit of work to make that happen, and Ice is really currently lacking must-play summons, so our options are limited and Moomba can come in and make a splash. In removal starved deck, as we've kind of mentioned enough already, Matues is a welcomed addition. Even when the effect is conditional, it provides us to an out with cards we may struggle against, such as Zidane, the win version, who can't be targeted. And yes, if you hit it off an EX burst, it will kill the forward that is attacking, so keep that in mind. Time to wrap things up with our backups. One crystal point summoner is simply here because we have a lot of backups that break themselves for cost, and we need to find a way to fill our resources back up for cheap. This is the perfect card to get the job done. Next up, we have the staple forever and ice, Jihl. In some games, freezing your opponent's 2 best forwards can win you the game on the spot, and when it doesn't, her special ability can usually tidy up the board for you in a pinch, so you always want to see 3 of this card. Bard, very interesting choice, something we haven't seen before, but again, it plays into that discard effect and really can help clear the way for Leon. Otherwise, if your opponent just has 1 card left in hand, and if you've been starving them for the entire game, usually just forcing them to discard that extra card can help push the game in your favor as well, and it's a great turn 1 play. Duke, no surprise at all, plus 1000 powered all of our forwards except Light Zidane, womp womp. It should be a staple at every single mono deck. They are absolutely not surprised at all to see it in this list, but it's also worth mentioning that, again, all of our discard-based ice cards are a little bit power starved, so every boost that they can get is a very welcome addition. Then the last card we have is Devout. We've talked about at length what makes this card so great, and simply put, the ability to buy back a timely Rinoa, Laguna, or even a Vayne to lock something down can help put your opponent on ice for good. I can't imagine playing a ice deck without Devout. It is simply that good, and is currently one of my favorite commons in Final Fantasy. And that's it. That's our quick look at the mono ice discard deck. If you want to pick apart your opponent's hand and make their life difficult, then this is the deck for you. So thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to drop us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the deck in the comments section as well. That's all we have for this video, and we hope to catch you on the next 6 Sages Gaming Deck Spotlight. Have a good one. This video made possible by the patron support of viewers such as yourself. Thank you to our honorary sages.